I must say it's been great to have you as part of our Coaching for Impact. My name is Newton Siele, co-host, and with
Adinio
me,
Chieng, right here, hosting you even as we discuss these amazing topics in this 2025.
we have a topic that for us is quite, I must say, it's a very
Interesting.
somber one.
That's good.
And today's podcast is captioned "Fight, Fight the Demons." And you know, Pasi, as I was telling you offline, for me this is really personal. You know, it's now been about, I would say, 3 months almost
that's
since I lost my sister-in-law. She was brutally murdered by the boyfriend. In fact, the case actually is being mentioned today.
Oh, so sorry. Newton, to your
And you know,
family
as I was thinking about our topic today, I really thought about how these demons that sometimes we let it thrive in our lives can really come and be able to destroy us. Maybe as an opening, I want you to tell our audience what the understanding of these demons is and why they must fight.
Fighting demons. So it's a good topic. Newton, I begin from the biblical perspective. From the biblical perspective, we are spirits who happen to have a soul, and we are housed in a body. Now, because we are spirit beings, spirits don't walk around. Our bodies do walk around. And it's important to understand that the influence that normally the actions we see around are coming from an influence that is a force behind us. Now, that means also because we are spirits, the Bible says that God is a spirit. And it also says that the devil is a spirit and demons are spirits. So when you say fighting the demons, what we are talking about here is looking at what influences your choices negatively. So there are things that basically push us in the wrong direction. And if we don't stop and look back and say, where am I headed to? Then you find that life can flow without your control. It is just like your body, Newton. If it's so used to food, when you try to deny it food, it alerts you there's something missing. And I realize it forces you to go to food. Now, our bodies basically are driven by our spirits. It is our spirits that drive them to do so. Our bodies, because now from biblical perspective, our soul and our bodies become accomplices. Our spirits are now held captive to the two accomplices. In that your body now and your soul are mates. They always tell each other, see, this is how you're feeling. This is how you should act. So your spirit is bypassed. And in your spirit, basically your Noah, as what we call it, always tells you something is out of place. But your soul says, no, that guy doesn't understand us. This is how we rock.
Let's proceed.
Let's proceed. Now, this topic is very important because then it means, Newton, that we must be careful of what influences our actions. We must be careful of what actually we think and meditate on. Because Newton, without having thought of something, it is very impossible to act upon it.
As I said, this topic reminds me of the challenge we are facing, especially with femicides.
Yes.
As somebody who's been affected personally, and I know we'll talk about these demons from many perspectives, but I want to start with the first one. That sometimes, and I think when we started the podcast, this year, you mentioned about the choices of relationships,
That's
for example.
very true.
And in me, I must say that some of our own sisters have really ended up, and maybe not knowingly, you don't realize that the person that you are with is literally a demon. And they then become a part of your life, but not to make you thrive,
Yes.
but to disrupt.
Yes, that's
And literally you have to fight. And we know that when it comes to emotions getting involved, it's not easy, because on one hand you're seeing that, you know what, I have to fight this demon and I have to disentangle myself, because if I don't, it can really, as I've seen and witnessed myself, cost you a life. But the same way, the demon could really be an addiction, and these are things that maybe the people that are listening to us today are just trying to reflect back and say, what are these demons that I'm not fighting? And maybe my question to you is, what happens, and maybe sort of to put it, what happens when you just cohabit with the demon? It's like you've welcomed them, the way we have our nice cup of coffee here, and now they are next to you, and you're enjoying a meal with them. Why should you not take that risk of not fighting them?
The challenge with this demon, if I take it from, it's a very interesting topic, is that Satan never takes half a mile. He takes a full one. Once I invite him in, I have no control again. He takes full control, Newton. Now, some of these demons we are talking about are habits we build, right? Now, unfortunately for especially ladies, because they become the greater victims in all this, one of the things is, I've seen it's not a good thing. I've always tried to warn ladies around me never to think that way. The thinking that you can change a man, Newton, it is impossible. In Jeremiah chapter number 17, I believe the Bible says that a man's heart is wicked above all things. You can never understand it. It actually says that only God, the creator of it, can have an impact on the heart. As human beings, you are unable to. So Newton, beginning from that perspective, is just understanding that what are these pointers that say that there could be a danger lying ahead. Number one, people always show these things, but we ignore them.
The signs.
The signs are always there, Newton. If this person threatens that they are going to beat you, don't treat it as a threat. They mean they'll beat you eventually, all right? If this person comes home drunk and say, I met my friends, I never do it, it happened, Newton, it never happens that way. A person who has never been drunk cannot go and get intoxicated like that. That's a lie. If this person comes and says, today I demand that the salary you earn should come in and you should do this, that's a warning. I'm not saying that you shouldn't put in your money, but if it's a demand, that's a danger, Newton. Sometimes it takes removing the bandage to clean the wound. Otherwise, if we just bandage everything, then the rot will keep on happening on the inside. So my thought is, for my sisters, maybe even for a brother out there, take a pause. I always tell people, take a pause, evaluate. Don't stay in something that is going to kill you eventually. I don't think God would purpose that you be in a relationship that is going to kill you, Newton. Take a pause, break it off, move aside and replan your life. I think for me that is very important.
And seek help, I think also.
Yeah, help is very important, getting help, because but not in the same, people, you'll go to a pastor who will tell you, no, stay in it, you're married, you should, no. That's wrong.
No, because the fact that you're struggling to be able to disentangle yourself means that you may be too emotionally involved.
Yes.
Yeah, and so you need to have help. I think for me, even as we part with our listeners today and those who are watching us, and we'd like to encourage you that every day we are fighting demons, and what we are asking you is that, remember, the worst that can happen is that it can cost you your life.
That's true.
But ultimately, it can drag you down. It can cost you your family. It can cost you your friends. It can cost you your job. I've seen so many people also get to lose their jobs. Be very, very careful that you're not just a participant when you should be fighting to be able to disentangle yourself and win over the demons. And that's my encouragement to you today.
My parting shot is this to you. The adage normally goes like this, that the person you entangle with will either crown you as queen or king or drag you early to your grave. The choice is yours, but don't be caught up and don't be lost in love.
Thank you, and it's been a pleasure.